We continue our journeys through Holy Week. On Sunday we were thinking about Palm Sunday when Jesus, the Prince of Peace, came to Jerusalem. But he wasn't happy with what he saw in the temple, which was to be a house of prayer for the nations. On Monday we thought about who Jesus was, and his authority was questioned. The priorities of this world were questioned, and the question about an afterlife was raised. Jesus was able to meet those big questions. His authority came from God. We are to give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but we must give God what is God's. And Jesus affirmed that there would be life after death. And as we come now, we continue the journey as Jesus moves the focus to us. We're going to look at Luke chapter 21 and 3 different passages that raise questions about what we think are important. I'm going to start with the temple. Now, to us, this is an historic account. But of course, when this was first said, the disciples and the crowds were with Jesus in the amazing temple surroundings. Our church is lovely, our church building, but it would be nothing compared to what they saw as they looked round to this magnificent place where sacrifices took place, where people were meeting all the time, and at Passover it was thronging with people. We read in Luke chapter 21, verse 5. While some were speaking of the temple, how it was adorned with noble stones and offerings, Jesus said, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." And they asked him, "Teacher, when will these things be, and what will be the sign that these things are about to take place?" And he said, "See that you are not led astray. For many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time is at hand. Do not go after them. When you hear wars and tumults, do not be terrified, for these things must first take place, but the end will not be at once." This temple is amazing, but it's not going to be here forever. We know that around AD 70 the temple was torn down, and it has never been rebuilt. Jesus reminds us, whether we put our faith in buildings or in forms of religion, that we are not to look to them but to him. These things will pass away, but Jesus lives forever. Then, looking on from the temple in all its glory round the city, Jesus moves the focus beyond the one building to the city itself. Luke says in Luke chapter 21 verse 20, "But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation has come near. Let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let those who are inside the city depart, and let not those who are in the country enter it. For these are days of vengeance, to fulfill all that is written. Alas for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days. For there will be great distress among the earth and wrath against his people. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive among all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled." The city is going to be gone, in terms of the Jewish view of it, in terms of Zion, the place where God would meet his people, the place that would be a light to the nations. And again, we know historically in AD 70 that the city was pulled apart, and it has not been a centre that has been at peace since. The city that they looked so much to, we sing of Zion, we sing of the city of God, the New Jerusalem. Jesus said the city is going to be gone. It's not going to be what you think it is, but his truth will remain. And then he goes on to take from the city to the world. There will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves. People fainting with fear and with foreboding of what is coming on the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to happen, straighten up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Strange things are going to happen in this world. Illnesses, wars, all sorts of happenings. Because Jesus tells us that this world itself is going to end. But there is a new heaven and a new earth that's going to come. And right at the very centre of that, the Lamb on the throne, to use the language of Revelation, is Jesus. And as we go on our journey in Holy Week, Jesus comes with the authority of God. He stands in what was so familiar and so precious to people. And he said, it's all going to go. The temple is going to go. The city's going to go. The world is going to go. But he will live forever. And he will reign forever. And if we want to be with God forever, we come not to a building. We come not to a place, but to a person. And his name is Jesus. The journey will take us on this week. And we're reminded of the cost and of the glory of the crucified and risen Jesus.